Hey folks, KILT-MAN here, KILT-MAN at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. And welcome to a magazine edition of the KILT-MAN channel for the 27th of March 2023. Yes, for that is today. And today is a glorious day of azure blue skies with little tiny powder puff clouds scuttling across because there's no wind down at ground level. But it is a little bit higher up, and you're just seeing these little tiny, little aerial sheep scuttling about. It's wonderful. For those asking, yes, I have already been to the pub. I stole an opportunity. Mrs. KILT-MAN was going down to Liscard, but she was taking the car, and I thought, well, I'm doing a video very shortly, but yeah, I'll come with you. Oh, do you want to help me with the shop? No. You do what you got to do. You have errands to run. I'll go in the Royal Oak and have a couple of whiskies, but I'll be ready for you. So just as soon as you come back, just pick me up, give me a text, and I'll come running round. So I was in the Royal Oak, and it was wonderful. And I sit there, and I'm set back from the full big bay windows with a panoramic view of a big crossroads and junction right outside. A junction which, just up the road from one of the tributaries, is a police station. Now, we get told all the time there's no police. There's no police around. The police are useless. They're nowhere to be found in times of stress and emergency. There's no police. Oh, really? Well, sit and have a drink in the front window of the Royal Oak because the fucking police are howling past all the time. Well, their sirens make different noises, obviously. Woo, 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 and all that kind of stuff. Tons and tons of them. Riot vans. Where's all the trouble? I don't see any trouble. I don't see any trouble at all. So where are they going? On a Monday afternoon, where are they going? Screaming off at such high velocity. It's crazy. It's craziness. But I have my earphones in, so my reverie was pretty much unperturbed, which led to Mrs. KILT-MAN had put 2 hours worth in on the parking meter, which I thought, oh, great. But I won't be 2 hours though. I'll be an hour. I'll be an hour. So I said, well, just text me when you're ready, and I'll come running round again. She's never on time. I thought, yeah, I'm here. I'm settled. So 2 whiskies. Large ones, of course. Then 2 more whiskies with a pint as well. Very cheap in there. So wonderful. Sitting there, luxuriating with the soundtrack to John Wick Chapter 4 playing in my ears. The horse racing on the TV on one of the many screens in there. Not that I'm asked about that, but it was just watching stuff. It was stuff happening. Apart from the police car screaming past every 30 seconds or so. And other people began to suddenly fill up the tables actually in the window. I was sitting further back slightly. And I was enjoying myself. And then suddenly there was a commotion at the windows. And I thought, what? But I thought, I'm not looking at this. I'm not involved in nothing. And there's, when you get the impression that people are shouting at you, but you've got your earphones in. Now, being the KILT-MAN, this happens a lot. And I'll be honest, and there'll be people there watching this now who go like, yeah, I've driven past you and beat my horn and waved like mad, and you just completely ignored me. I haven't heard you, I haven't seen you. I've got my earphones in and walking the dog. I'm in my own world. Or have I just completely ignored you? There's not any music playing at all. I just stuck them in there for stealth purposes. And in the pub as well, if I don't want to be bothered, I'll sit in the corner somewhere and I'll put my earphones in and just do my own thing. And it works by and large. But so I was aware that people were like sort of obviously talking to me. And I thought, I'll ignore this. And then suddenly, somebody loomed up right beside me, and I looked up like that, and he banged on the table. And I was like, what? And he went, it's your wife at the window. And I'm like, oh yeah. There's Mrs. KILT-MAN banging on the glass. And she was going like, and I'm going, yeah. Now? You sure now? So off she went. Earphones went back in again. Lashed that whiskey. She's got hours left on that parking meter. Then I got another whiskey and I threw it down my neck, as you do. And then waltzed out. Yeah. You've got to get back, you've got a video to do, remember? Oh yes, that's true, I have. This one right now. The magazine edition. Things that have happened, things that are happening, things that are yet to happen. The video where you guys are liberally invited to just sit back, get yourself one of these, or several, or whatever your tipple might be. Put your feet up, just settle down, kick back, and just we'll talk the shit of what's happening at the moment. And other stuff as well. Cheers, y'all. An asteroid passed between the Earth and the Moon a couple of days ago. Saturday it went through. And it passed, it was nearer to the Earth than it was to the Moon. And it was labelled the City Killer. It would be about, I think it was the size of Big Ben. I think not the clock itself, but the tower that Big Ben is housed in, which is something like 90 meters long. And these things are they're like big cosmic potatoes, because they're kind of roundish, but they're lumpy as well, and they're hurtling through space at, I've got this, 17,500 miles per hour. Now, I checked that on several different reference sites and all the news sort of outlets, and they all had different velocities and speeds. They all had different sizes for the asteroid as well, you know, but they all called it the City Killer. But the one consistent one really was 17,500 miles per hour, and it was passing between the Earth and the Moon at roughly 100,000 miles away from us, right? Which is still nearer to us than it is to the Moon. And obviously they called it a City Killer. Now asteroids, any kind of celestial body that collides with us or a planet or a moon or a body in space, it's going to cause enormous amounts of damage, especially on a planet where there's an atmosphere, because it causes huge uproar within the atmosphere, which then filters out around the globe and causes a hell of a lot of damage, ecological, environmental, catastrophic disasters. Tunguska, that great big crater in Arizona, Crater Lake, you've got loads of them. Earth, like the Moon, is pockmarked with craters of these big sort of prehistoric, hits from these bastards, and the Moon is cratered to hell and back. It's acne ridden. But this thing wasn't destined to hit us at all. Now, as everything in space seems to do, it's all what goes around comes around. So this motherfucker's coming back again in 2026, I think. And the astro boffins have said, no, don't worry about that either. It's not going to hit us. It won't hit us then. But if it's coming back in like sort of a 3-year cycle, it's getting closer and closer, and till at some point it's just going to skim right across. It's got like a skimming stone. Boosh! Take out California, and then skim across to Asia. Boosh! Take out that, I don't know. But they say don't worry about it. And they've also got this asteroid sort of deflection system now, haven't they? Where they've learned the previous asteroid, which was the back end of last year, I think I'm right. They worked out, look, we're gonna hit this with something explosive to make it. The asteroid itself wasn't heading towards Earth, but it just happened to be in the vicinity. But we can use this. We can fire this satellite up, boosh, hit it into this asteroid and divert its course. And if we can do it and it works, then we've proven that we can use this as a defensive system against rogue meteorites, meteors, and asteroids. So we can deflect them from hitting the Earth. And it worked. So don't worry about these things. But it was plain to see, apparently, with binoculars and with small telescopes and possibly even the naked eye. If you knew where to look, you could see this thing travelling across. And I meant to do it, but never got around to it, to be honest. Didn't do it. But I love stuff like this. Now, this asteroid was called 2023 DZ2. That's if I've written that down correctly. Now, do you remember back in 2017, you had that big super, sort of almost like Star Trek, the motion picture, where V'ger, the big giant cloud, which is actually not V'ger, but Voyager, which we sent out, had gone to the far outer reaches of the universe and encountered a race of, I don't know, sentient robotic geniuses that then worked upon it and sent it back again. And it came back trying to find its creator, which of course was someone who was long, long dead, working for NASA back in the 1960s. But it lays waste to everything in its path, and it forms this huge cloud around it. But it is just a Voyager space probe in the middle of it. Now, this thing called Oumuamua was like a huge sort of cigar-shaped but blobby object, quite large, in fact very large, and it was the first recorded interstellar object that entered our solar system. This is 2017. It had been recorded a bit before, they knew it was coming, and it made massive headlines. And of course, a lot of the theories around it were that, hang on, the way it's shaped and the way it's moving, it's piloted. Or it's something that's very old, but it's got a mechanism in it, it's got engineering, it's been computerized, and it's on a trajectory. It's moving like it knows what it's doing, not just in sort of a gravitational field or pull, which everything apparently in the universe is beholden to gravity. And this thing entered our solar system, and Oumuamua it was called, and it caused a lot of controversy and interest. And it's gone now. It's out. It's by a different constellation now, but it'll come back again. Probably not in our lifetimes, but well, maybe not in your lifetimes. But I'm immortal, so I'll probably see it again. I'll be riding it. I'll be on board the bloody thing, swilling celestial whiskey all the way around the solar system. But Oumuamua, you gotta think to yourself, like, who names these things? Like, I know this asteroid has a little sort of catalogue name. What is it again? 2023 DZ2 or something like that. But Oumuamua, do you not think that in the background, all these astrophysicists, these boffins are sitting there in NASA, and they're going, oh, we've just found something new, so well, let's give it a name. Because they know someone's going to go out there to the big NASA lectern in front of all the cameras and all that, like, and then we called it this, give him the paper, and he's there going like, yes, this new interstellar body, this first object from the outer reaches of the universe has entered our solar system. It's called, and he's going like, Oumuamua, and they're all in the background going, he fucking said it as well, and all the press are going like, Oumuamua, Oumuamua, He must do it on purpose just to wind these spokespeople up. It's like there is a planet called Uranus. Not Uranus, but just Uranus. And obviously during the 70s, people began to think, that's a bit funny, isn't it? Uranus. And they're all, they're in the astrophysics club and all that, like, before they go on to high school and then university, and they're all tittering and laughing. And that kind of joke never leaves you. It's a planet called Uranus. So in the sort of like the late 70s and early 80s, certainly, they began to call it Uranus. What? You'd have all the... Yes, we detected storm clouds on Uranus. And they're going like, what planet's that? Is that a new planet? The planet Uranus. So if you were those guys at the back, you'd be like, right, I'm going to call this one Ballsack. And this asteroid's come from the system known as Clitoris. And they're passing these notes out, like, and these poor bastards are going to read this, like, from the star cluster of ballsack, you know. Oh, it's just, they must do it on purpose. Oumuamua. The fuck? Then again, Oumuamua sounds Hawaiian, doesn't it? And I do think it was spotted by an observatory in Hawaii. So maybe that's the reason. But you've got these crazy fucking names, and the media likes to just label things anyway. So this asteroid, which passed harmlessly by us, is a city killer. Because if they, as I said before, if these things hit, they're not even that big, but their concussion and their almost tectonic wave of pressure will cause huge problems. The velocity and I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but this is what I've heard. These things matter. So, danger from meteorites, asteroids, comets, and all sorts of things. Let alone the aliens. I mean, they're there as well. Some would say they're already here. Cheers, y'all. Now, I've got some news from around the world via various people that we know and love. I mentioned seeing, while we're on this topic, I mentioned seeing a UFO the other day, at 7:30 in the morning, a silver, long, cigar-shaped thing passing from, well, where we are right now. Well, you're looking the way it was, and it was passing from west to east, right? 7:30 in the morning, and the sun was up, and it was glinting off this metallic body, and I was lying then in bed, and I saw it out of our window. I took pictures of it, but in the ever crazy world of like, well, you can't prove a fucking thing, can you? No, I can't, because the pictures didn't turn out. I got the picture through our window, and it was it's our bedroom window. It's a big window, but at the top of it, you can open it out, you know, one of the levers, and you peg it down like that. And that top window, do you call it cantilevered? Is that what I'm talking about? I don't know. Now, to be honest, there's a bit of specks of dirt on it, but it was clear enough. And I zoomed in on my camera. I zoomed in, and I could see it plainly when I was taking pictures of it. Plainly, it wasn't a plane. There was no wings on it. It was just a cigar-shaped length going just leisurely, you know, but very smoothly, consistently. There was a few clouds around. It did go behind some clouds, but it did come out the other side. But I did photograph this. I took about 3 pictures, and when I looked back at them, and I studied those pictures, I zoomed in on them even more. The bastard wasn't there. But see stuff all the time. I've said this a lot, and I'll keep on saying it. People go, "Oh, UFOs, don't believe in them," or unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, I think they're called now. I think that's the official designation now. It's just it's something in the sky which you don't know what it is. You're not saying it's aliens. No one's saying it's aliens unless it fucking lands and aliens come out of it, you know. But it's just a thing in the sky which you know is not a plane or a helicopter. The light patterns, if there are lights on it, don't match up to things you've seen before. It's a bizarre shape. It's moving erratically. It's doing things which you don't think are aerodynamically possible for vehicles that we've created. It's just a UFO. It's an unidentified flying object as far as you're concerned. You look at the night sky any night when it's clear. In fact, even when it's fucking cloudy, you may still see something. And it's just something you don't know what it is. Satellites in the far distance, they're very easy to spot, and you see them a lot as well. And they're very routine. There's a certain time when they go past. You can see those, and they are little white dots, and they will travel at a very uniform sort of speed, and you get to know those. But it's things which seem closer, things which seem bigger or more irregularly shaped, zipping around and doing things. See them all the time. I've said so often now that at the back of the KILT-MAN we back onto a cemetery where there's no street lighting, and it's gorgeous. In fact, it was gorgeous last night. There was a few clouds, but all the constellations were out. It was the constellation of Clitoris was out. And I tried to get up close and personal to it. But everything was out and glistening. It was gorgeous. As I say, a few clouds. Now, I didn't see anything unusual last night, but if you stayed out for long enough, you would have done. You would have done. Things are just passing all the time. Shooting stars. But you always know a shooting star because you don't tend to see it. It tends to register out the corner of your eye, literally the corner of your eye. And by the time you've looked round, it's gone and it's gone. But it does register on your retina. So you've retained a split nanosecond instance of that imagery is there. So you have seen it. And you get them a lot, hell of a lot. The Aurora Borealis is massively on show in the UK all this year long, and it was seen again, not last night, but the night of the asteroid going past. So that, and I think about 2 weeks ago, it was massively prevalent in the south of England and the far north of, well, the British Isles, so Scotland. But round here, we never got to see it at all. But southern England got it a lot. But they said you're going to see it a lot more throughout the rest of this year. And it happened the same night as the asteroid. So I saw loads of pictures of people posting up like, oh my God, never expected to see this. Was looking for the asteroid and bloody hell, there's the Aurora Borealis. Way! So you look up at the night sky, you're going to see things that you didn't expect to see. And if you look for long enough and you train your eye, you will begin to, well, help us to recognise where the planets are at different times of year. And also where the constellations are going to be. And they are your signposts, so you know your way around the sky, the northern hemisphere, or the southern hemisphere, of course. You know, there's a whole other side to this, I know. But you look up there, you're going to see things which you can't explain. I'm not saying what they are. I don't know what they are. They're unidentified. So don't come down on me. But I do believe that they are there. That aliens exist, other planets of other life forms exist. I believe it. I think you'd be completely stupid and naive not to believe it. You know, the whole universe, it's just us. No, it's just us. God created us and that's it. Well, God fucked everything up then, didn't he? Because our little planet is full of shit, full of wars and turbulence and complete cesspit of humanity. And he made us in his image. Well, fucking hell. Has he got big godly dangly bits, you know, in a place that can be easily kicked by another god? You know, no. The universe is vast and full of impenetrable mysteries. We'll only ever get the merest scrapings off the top of that iceberg. That big cosmic iceberg. And that's the beauty of it, that you'll never get to know it all. But, you know, astrophysicists just want to have fun as well, you know. Hence, Oumuamua, and let's call it Uranus. They must have a ball doing this. Anyway, to the astro boffins around the world, cheers you all. Did you know that the Vatican has 2 observatories? They have one in Italy, I do believe, but they have one in Arizona, on a mountain in Arizona. Why? Why does the Vatican have observatories which are heavily guarded and quite secret? They're known about, but you can't go into those. And they have vaults of all astronomical ideas and sightings. What are they looking for? The second coming? What are they looking for? But they have a massively vested interest in the cosmos, in the celestial visions and things that are happening up there in the heavens. So, you know, what is it all about? What is it all about? Anyway, so we've covered the cosmos there a fair bit. Oh, no, I didn't. I said there's people around the world who've been messaging me with stuff and showing me things. Chloe, who lives in Santa Barbara, said there's a massive UFO sort of fucking flap. They call them a flap when there's loads of like sightings. And she sent me some pictures, but Chloe, I couldn't see a damn thing. They were like my pictures that I took. You couldn't see anything at all. Oh, a lovely sky. You could see the moon. See the moon very clearly. It was beautiful. And the rooftops you captured and all that, and for scale and like, but I couldn't see the lights you're on about at all. I couldn't see him. I've told you. But so a massive UFO flap in Santa Barbara. Interesting. I know, like if you go down south of the border in Mexico and all that, you've got, especially Mexico City, that all the time. You can't get to a burger store because there's all the aliens in the queue before you. They're everywhere. But does that ever get televised? No. But it's absolutely right. If you speak to anyone from Mexico City, they say that just look out any time of day. There's fucking fleets of them going past. Bloody, squadrons of UFOs going over. But no one bats an eyelid about it down there now. They're just used to it. Craziness. There's still no Julian Sands. Oh dear God. How many weeks down the line are we now? He went missing on Friday the 13th of January. And in the mountains, 40 miles north of LA, where he lives. And Avalanche County, multiple searches for him over the weeks. Friends and other experts who know him, who were other experienced hikers, like he was a very experienced hiker and adventurer and outdoorsman, knew the risks, knew what the weather was going to be like, went missing. It has not been found. Other people who went missing in the same area, some even earlier than him, some after him, they've been found. Sadly, none of them were alive. But nothing of Julian Sands at all. So, Jesus. And the last thing I heard, because there's no more news about this. The last that I heard, so people keep asking me any more news about Julian Sands, and well, to my knowledge, there isn't. They were doing airborne searches again because the ground searches couldn't be done because of the risk of avalanches. And the last I heard that they were still just doing airborne searches and drones and helicopters, and that was it. But still nothing. You're going to need that entire area to completely melt. But even then, you may not find his body. His body could be swept into a crevice. It could be anywhere. And once it comes out, it'll be preserved in the snow and ice. But then it'll be predated upon and devoured unless anyone gets to it. But they should still find his clothing and his gear and his equipment. Animals don't eat that, and they last a long time in the weather, regardless. So some evidence should be found of him in the coming months, one would hope. But horrible story that, of course. What else have we got? Oh yeah, because the other news from around the world, I'm jumping ahead. I know. I've been drinking. It's the whole plan has gone to rack and ruin. But you wouldn't like it any other way. You like the random aspect, I hope, because you're stuck with it. Cheers. Scrowy, our good friend down in the land of Oz. Barack Obama has arrived there. Barack Obama, former president, former commander-in-chief, and the first lady. Lady-ish. Have arrived in Australia. And I'm not sure how long they're there for, but he sent me a picture of the entourage. And he was going for a walk with old Barack. And there was about 40 police cars and again about 40 outriders, police motorbikes and all that going protecting him. What a life. That's not good, is it? But what's he doing there? Well, he's there as part of the start of a talking tour, a speaking tour around the world to talk about global events, global things of importance. Asteroids, pandemics, laws, the top 1%, the elite, how we've got to keep that, and keep the populations down. I don't know what he's talking about. But it's funny how people who held high office then go into this sort of thing, where they'll go and talk, and they're a lot nicer because they're not making any laws, any rules. They can now officially sit on the sidelines and say, well, what we should do is this. Because their words mean absolutely nothing anymore. They're not making any laws, and no one's listening to them really. No governing bodies give a toss what they say, because you've had your chance, you're out. Forget it. You're being looked after. You'll be minted for the rest of your life. You'll be totally protected, so say what you want, but just, don't bother us with it. So he's out commencing on this. And it's funny how, because they'll be talking about global warming and all that sort of stuff. And of course, they're in Sydney, and it's normally very hot there. But my God, it was pissing down. So he's there with the Aussie, Premier, Prime Minister, and they've got the brollies up and all that for the photo shoots. It's pissing down on him. But yeah, so that's Australia. We've heard about Santa Barbara and its UFO flap, which apparently it's all over the news as well. So you can check it out. But over to the Emerald Isle, and our good mate Captain Ronnie sent me some pictures yesterday of what looked like the Fireworm from the 13th Warrior. Antonio Banderas, Omar Sharif, fantastic retelling of the Viking, well, the Anglo-Saxon tale of the Viking warrior, Beowulf. But the 13th Warrior it's the Magnificent Seven, only it's 13 warriors who have to stand against hordes of these bearskin-clad cannibals who have been attacking this village, in Viking land. And it's a classic movie, and I have covered it a lot. The actual movie itself, I gave an extensive review for. Go and check it out. And I've talked about Jerry Goldsmith's score for it numerous times, and it's one of my favourite historical movies ever. And it's fantastical as well. But there is a sequence where they've built up the village, which is under attack, and they've already been attacked a couple of times while our heroes have been there, and they've lost a couple of their men. So they build up the ramparts and battlements, and then suddenly their lookouts see that there's fire snaking down the mountains. They've unleashed the Fireworm, they say. Fireworm, the dragon, and it's coming down. Antonio Banderas has to go up, get his horse, his little pinto pony, get over the battlements, and go and rescue a little child who's been left behind in a field, whilst this fire snake, the Fireworm, is coming down the mountains. But as he gets there, he sees it's not a dragon, it's not a snake, not a fireworm, it's cavalry. It's hundreds of these cannibal bastards, all dressed in bearskins, and they're on horseback, and they've got flaming torches. But from a distance, it looks like one of these things coming down. So he gets back, he tells them it's not a dragon, it's cavalry. And they're like, oh, rather fancy the dragon. Well, anyway, Captain Ronnie sent me these pictures of a gorse fire looking out onto Mount Hen in the Mourne Range, Northern Ireland. This is where they filmed a lot of Game of Thrones. And you can see, and there was a couple of pictures of daytime, which you can quite plainly see it's a fire, raging on this incline. But the nighttime ones, it's just this snaking flame. And wow, I went straight away. He showed me his pictures. I went, oh, they've unleashed the Fireworm. And he knew what I meant. But I said, well, what is it? Has that been started deliberately? Is it an act of arson? You get this all the time. Saddleworth Moors get set on fire all the time. Lots of dry air, especially during the long summers. Global warming again. The long summers where it's very arid and very dry. You just put one match down. That's it. It's going to be an inferno. But he said, no, well, the farmer who lives up there, often does, he burns back the gorse as part of his routines during the summertime, but it's all controlled. He said, but that's the summertime, wouldn't be now. So, and I think today there's even they brought in more emergency services to try and take care of this conflagration. But the pictures were simply, it looked like the Fireworm. I even put his picture in the thumbnail of this particular video, so go look for that. It's there somewhere. But yeah, so that's news from around the world, folks. What else have we got? I've written here, John Wick still rocks. Yeah, John Wick. I've spent the last few days being John Wick. I did damage my shoulder doing a stunt for a video about John Wick only yesterday. And I've been asked about it. You know, are you alright, KILT-MAN? You didn't see the stunt on the camera. I rehearsed it, it worked really well. And then when I did the actual video, I did it, but I landed really badly and I really trashed in this shoulder. And I then did a video afterwards to explain why you didn't see what I'd intended you to see. It was on the cutting room floor. And like people saying, oh God, make sure you're alright, you know, get yourself checked out. I landed on this concrete floor, but and it seized up on me. But I managed to like keep mobility going throughout the afternoon yesterday, and I drank some whiskey, and then you basically move it around, just gently, up, down, back, forwards, around, get the mobility going again. The mistake people make, unless you've broken the bone, which I hadn't done, unless you've broken the bone, you've got to keep that movement going, because if those ligaments and tendons begin to like they're too taut and they've ripped, they're gonna have to like just fuse over the entire joint, and your arm is just gonna lock badly, and you'll be like, eh. So I kept on doing this. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, it fucking hurt, but I kept on doing it, and gradually, you know, it's hurting. Took a couple of minutes break, and then do it again, and then gradually you move up and up and up and further and further and further and forward and forward and forward, and you get that turning circle all the more going. You drink more whiskey, and then you get in the bath, have a good long hot soak and hot bath. And I was okay last night, and I slept okay, but I did think, because I've done this before, I've had injuries like this before, where the next morning I slept really well. Oh, I've been great. Get out of bed, you go, and you've jarred it. I'm like, oh, and you're right back to square one. This morning, got out of bed, took it easy. Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do that? Can I do something? No, I'm not going there. Been fine. I'm not even bruised, which is bizarre, having landed on concrete, but a wise man would have put cushions down for that stunt. An even wiser man wouldn't have fucking done it in the first place. I mean, I'm not even as old as Keanu Reeves, but I'm still too old to be acting like a fucking jerk-off little kid, thinking I can fly, I can jump off roofs and do all that. No, you can't. You can't. You can't do it when you're a kid, let alone when you're fucking 53 years old. Cheers, yo. Well, see, it's all right. So, John Wick still rules. If you haven't seen John Wick Chapter 4 yet, go see it. Go see it. It's a majestic piece of work. It's a pugilistic, ballistic ballet. It is gun fu, car kata. It is chaos writ large, but beautifully. You'll never see brutality and violence depicted with such gorgeous, sumptuous cinematography. For what it does, for what it wants to achieve, it cannot be beaten. Only John Wick can top John Wick. No other action movie comes even close. You can have movies that are more entertaining and more exciting in their own ways via the storytelling and the characters. John Wick's very limited in that aspect. But what it does do well, and what it knows it can do, it is faultless. And that's fight choreography, chases, adrenalized, non-stop, completely OTT, murderous set pieces. So there you go. John Wick still wins the day. Other news film-wise, they want to remake Vertigo. Vertigo? Vertigo, you say? Alfred Hitchcock. 1958. Was it 58? It was 58. Jimmy Stewart, Kim Novak. You know it. You love it. It's in pretty much every film critic's top 10 movies. It's in pretty much every film director top 10 movies. Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, of course, innovative, creative, pioneer in many, many ways. Folks, at the risk of sounding blasphemous and, you know, courting the ire of cinephiles the world over, I only like Vertigo. I don't think it's one of the best films ever made, and I don't think it's one of the best films that Alfred Hitchcock ever made. And I do often come down on the side where I think that Alfred Hitchcock overall is overrated. I've said it now, but I still love his stuff. I think The Birds is genius. I think Psycho is genius. I adore North by Northwest. I'm very fond of Vertigo, but I don't think Vertigo deserves all the plaudits that it gets. Saul Bass and the wonderful opening title sequence is incredible. Bernard Herrmann. The great things about Vertigo are Bernard Herrmann's score, Saul Bass's animation and surrealistic titles, and the dreamy aspect of it. The fucking story's bollocks. It's bollocks, folks. And it's based on a French novel, D'entre les Morts, From Among the Dead, which is set in Paris in the 40s, whereas Vertigo is set in San Francisco in the 50s, the late 50s. It's set during the time it's made, 1958. And Jimmy Stewart's great, playing Scotty. You know, he's got acrophobia and vertigo. There's two separate things, actually. Acrophobia. It gives you a stutter as well, apparently, and vertigo. They're not the same thing, but you get them combined. Oh, it's a pretty bad one. And you're going up heights, and your rotational view completely goes as well. Well, that's not a good way. And it's about guilt, obsession, duality, doppelgangers. But it's a very dreamy, highly surrealistic sort of movie. And basically, I feel let down by it all the time when I watch it. That it just could have been so much better. So, the remake that they're now thinking of doing, Paramount and Stephen Knight are going to remake this. Or so they're saying anyway. With Robert Downey Jr. Now, immediately when I saw this, and I saw this a few days ago, almost about a week ago in fact, people were talking about this. Oh, they're remaking Vertigo. And quite clearly, as I have done on so many occasions, how dare you? What's the point? Hollywood, you are dead. You've got no originality. You're just going over all the old stuff again and remaking it. And you're going to make it woke, and you're going to do this, and you're going to change the colour and gender of all the characters. What's the fucking point? Well, yeah. Funnily enough, Hitchcock remade his own movies. Hitchcock remade other people's movies as well. So, the whole remake thing, really, you can't really lambast it for that. And plus, if you're someone like me that thinks the film is great, but it could actually be better. And what if you followed the original book? What Stephen Knight and Robert Downey Jr. have not said is what time period it's set in, or what country it's set in. If they're going to follow that original novel, and I don't know, I forgot the names. There's two guys that wrote that original novel, and I forgot both their names. If you're going to follow that, because that's never been made, to my knowledge, that version has never been made. So it wouldn't be a remake of Hitchcock's movie, it would be an adaptation of the original novel. They haven't said if that's what they're going to do, to my knowledge. I do kind of think that it may not be such a good idea, because knowing what I know about the way Hollywood goes about remaking stuff, and the way they changed, as I said before, the gender, they changed, the political, socio-political agendas and narratives of these things. They change the gender of characters, and they make it all super, super woke, which is what they do these days. You may have noticed. But if they don't do that, and they follow the original novel, then hey, I'm all for it, because that's something I've not seen. Because it is different in many ways, from what I've heard. I haven't read the book either, so I don't know. But even if they do set it in sort of maybe modern day San Francisco, I've got a feeling they'll keep it San Francisco, because San Francisco is such a wonderful wonderful city with so many incredible locations and its own, I don't know, almost mystical, fantastical milieu, its own bizarre dreamscape sensibility. But it works for a film about identity, guilt, obsession, and like just, you know, this sort of dreamlike framework in which a character has to work out what she's gone, but that's the same woman, and but you did this, and that necklace, that's Carlotta's, oh, but I've got this failing, this psychological defect. I can't go up spires and towers and on bridges. I can't do any of that, but I'm going to have to if I'm going to solve this case. God, I've talked myself into it. It sounds brilliant. And I like Robert Downey Jr. Overplayed as Iron Man. Incredibly wonderful as Sherlock Holmes. By the way, what's happened to that? Where's Guy Ritchie has done another, or is he doing another Sherlock Holmes? This has been talked about, and I've talked about it years ago. I absolutely love Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes, the first one. The second one, Game of Shadows, I did not like, or rather I was massively unimpressed with. He blew everything up to bigger and bigger, but not better elements. And I despised the finale as well. And then I watched it again and despised it all the more. And then I sat with my daughter and watched it, and I really enjoyed it. But that was a while ago, so I haven't seen it for a while. But I love the first Sherlock Holmes. But I do genuinely adore Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Sherlock Holmes. Now, if you look at that performance there, the idiosyncrasies, the psychological elements, the nuances of Sherlock Holmes, you know, he's not a fully functioning, you know, member of society. He's his own fucking thing, aloof from it all. He looks at life in a certain way and makes everything fit together, and you know, he can't help himself. That's the way he is. He's like an obsessive, you know, compulsive. Scotty Ferguson, who is the Jimmy Stewart character, of retired, you know, policeman because of his agoraphobia, becomes like a private detective, basically hired by a friend, you know. But he's got to overcome these difficulties. I think Downey Jr. could do that. I think he could bring an entirely askew sort of stance to it, even if it's modern day. Now, again, this is me saying this, and you guys, regular viewers, know how much I despise and lambast remakes and fucking sequels. Oh, God. But if there's scope to remake something and maybe improve upon it, or do it differently. Hitchcock, of course, Psycho got remade. Gus Van Sant remade Psycho, shot for shot. What was the fucking point of that? And the film was crap. You could not engage with anybody in that movie. The shocks didn't matter, and the fact that it was in colour didn't change a damn thing. But you did it shot for shot, mostly shot for shot. What's the fucking point? Seriously, what was the point? If I want to watch Psycho, I'll watch Psycho. If you're going to do something different, brilliant. Of course, you got sequels to Psycho, and people didn't like the idea of that, and then they watched Psycho 2 and thought, oh shit, that's actually really, really good, and it is really good. Psycho 2 is a phenomenal movie. Psycho 3 is phenomenal as well, because it helps having Anthony Perkins in them as well. And they were increasingly more mysterious and seedy. They played up all the angles that were in the first movie, but then blew them up a little bit more, but in different directions. You kept the flavour, but you twisted things round, you subverted things again, and they were clever. Psycho 2 has one of the best endings ever, and I adore that movie. Psycho 2 twists sort of the ending, with Mother and the whole thing. You know what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to go into it. Psycho 3 twists the beginning with, you know, the shower at, well, it's a it's a bath, and he's about to do the deed, and she's trying to commit suicide, and he can't believe it. It's just genius. Those three films are fantastic. So Hitchcock stuff, and of course Psycho was based on Robert Bloch's original novel as well. So you know, Hitchcock did a lot of his stuff was based on novels, on literature, and he made his own bloody movies as well. Like, but and no one seems to complain about that, do they? So I'm not against a Vertigo remake. I'm not, and I'm playing Bernard Herrmann's score for Vertigo right now. Bernard Herrmann and Hitchcock were in cahoots. They did many movies together, and wonderful scores. As I say, you know, one of the things I love about Vertigo is the score. Let's get on to that main theme again, which is just, and I've just realised the washing machine's going as well. But listen to this. Don't listen to that, listen to this. Bernard Herrmann, the strings, the weird melodies, the dreamy sort of envelope that he musically wraps around you, smothers you with, and drags you in. But you get the brassy sort of splurge like that. But this circular motif, round and round, falling, spinning into a kaleidoscope of just mystery and enigma. It's beautiful. And the washing machine is ruining it. It's on the fast cycle now, damn it! The sun is really coming through there now. It's very bright. It's a beautiful day, it really is. There's an earnestness and a sort of a sense of fatality to it as well, a sense of destiny. You won't get away from this. It's got you, you know. But listen to this. You've got the harp going as well. These delicate strings, the cello. Listen to that. And then you've got the trumpets and the brass coming through. Only Bernard Herrmann could concoct such a weird musical tableau. And the music, the score for the entire movie is phenomenal. And it fits the dreamy, surreal mystery aspect of it. But, you know, well, at least it's finished now. Right, folks, we're going to move on now to the other regular slot of this edition, the Peeve of the week. And the Peeve of the week: spoons. Spoons. Fucking teaspoons. Hold your horses. There's a husky. Hello. The husky has arrived. And just 1 second, folks. Here you go. Had a walk, so she now wants feeding. A little bit of ham for her as well. There we go. There we go. Gotta feed the pooch. She's been out prowling, protecting the realm, you know, from infidels and invaders. So Where was I going there? What they just said? Oh, the peeve of the week. Spoons. Yeah, spoons. Now in this house, me, Mrs. KILT-MAN and my son have cups of tea. Just normal tea. Normal tea. Nothing herbal, nothing green, just tea. So I make the tea most of the time. And they have sugar. Not much sugar. Kind of pointless really. It's the tip of the teaspoon. It's got like a little bit of that. You put it in, stir it around. What's the fucking point? But I don't have sugar at all. So there's 1 spoon used. Okay, I leave it there. And it's left there so that if you're going to make another cup of tea or pour another one from the pot, stir it around, that spoon's still there. My daughter, she has green tea and herbal tea and other kind of exotic teas and coffees and all sorts of stuff. So she gets another spoon out. Well, that's okay because that's for different type of tea and drink. So, and that's left there as well because she might come down as well and get another one. So how is it then that if I come into the kitchen again, there isn't just 2 teaspoons there. There's 6. On average, I find 6 teaspoons just do. On this behind me here, this island as some people call it, or breakfast bar as we used to call it. And all these teaspoons are there, littered there, and they're all used. Who's been using them? What the hell? Where did these teaspoons come from? They just seem to fucking multiply. And I ask all the time, who's been using these? Well, I had a drink, but the same teaspoons there, use that one. How come? But I haven't seen anyone come in. They fucking multiply. They're cloning themselves, these fucking spoons. Like, remember the Attack of the Clones you had there? Oh God, that fucking, that horse-faced fucking thing. Dexter Jetster or something he's called. And he owns a diner, a 50s style diner. And Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, goes in there. He's got some bit of evidence. Like, do you know where this came from, Dex? And Dex speaks with this like a Texan drawl. He goes, oh yeah, that's from Camino. And they're cloners, real good ones too. Real good ones? Well, you know, because they were bad ones, wouldn't they? Like, oh, they're cloners. Real bad ones. They're really shit at it, you know. But you're not going to be... If you're a cloner, you're going to be a good one, aren't you? Otherwise, you won't be a cloner. Because you wouldn't be in business. If you were shit at it, you wouldn't be a cloner. So you've got to be a good cloner to be a cloner. Oh, it's like, they're cloners. Real good ones, too. As opposed to the shit ones, you know. But yeah, so are these spoons cloning themselves? I don't know who's bringing these spoons in. And they all seem to be used and dirty. But, you know, my mindset is like, look, that's used and you can use it again. I don't mean all day long, folks, because I wash them. But that's what annoys me. I'm the one that ends up washing all this extra spoonage. What the fuck? Where do you look? Stop bringing the spoons out. And we've got a lot of spoons. But, you know, but just use a couple. That's all it takes. Oh, but maybe how about a yogurt as well? A little spoon there. Or I've made some muesli or whatever they fucking do. I don't know. All sorts of fucking things. Spoon, spoon, spoon. But I don't see these spoons in action or in operation. They just suddenly appear. Spoons. They fucking do my head in. And the worst thing about it is that spoon is one of my favourite words of all time. Spoon. Just say it to yourself now. Just go, spoon. It makes you smile. Spoon. It's the SP. It's a spoon. It's great. Spoon. You can't help but smile saying it. It's like saying sponge. Makes you happy, doesn't it? Sponge. Ooh, I like a bit of sponge. Ooh, nice bit of sponge, me. Put me spoon in me sponge. I like things like the SP words are great. You know, like, apart from Spetsnaz, obviously. But Sputnik. Sputnik's a great word. Sputnik. You know, they're kind of like the SP words. Spunk. It's just, there's loads of them. You can pick all your own SP words you like. But spoon has always been my favourite. It always brings a smile to me face. Well, except when I find 6 of the bastards lurking there, waiting to be washed. Spoon. Spoonage. Spoonerisms. That's playing with words. spoonerism. Twisting a sentence round to make, sort of witty sense of an earlier word you've said. And suddenly I can't think of any examples of doing it, but spoonerisms. And I think Spike Milligan and, oh God, Ronnie Barker were both geniuses at spoonerisms. But yeah, spoons, where do they fucking come from? Who's using them? What's going on with the spoons? Oh, and because this is the House of Spooks, as you know, well, I get asked all the time about what's happening, what latest spooks. See, again, this is why we're not afraid in this house, because it's spooks. Oh, it's spooky. Little bit spooky, darlings. As Barack Obama will be finding out down in the land of Oz. But we've got hauntings here, which I've talked about a fair bit, and I get asked all the time what's happening. But to be honest, lately there's not been much at all. There's been little things that have happened, but nothing to write home about. But there was last night, and I've only just remembered it really. And but again, because it's not that scary, it wasn't on my mind. But I've just reminded myself with the spooks. No, I'm going to save it. Basically, remind me, it's about shadows on the wall, which Mrs. KILT-MAN saw. And it was kind of, where the fuck are they coming from? And what's doing that? So we had this dilemma. This would be around about 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. And in two different rooms, and there were shadows moving across the walls, which Mrs. KILT-MAN saw and came running in to say, "Are you doing that? Who's moving around?" It was me and the dog were like lying there, and we were like, "Well, it's not us. What are you on about?" And then we saw the shadows as well, but only after she went out the room. And I went, "Do you mean these?" And of course she came running back, and I went, and they stopped doing it. I'll do that. I'll do another video on that, because there's a bit more to that, but there's just a little tantalising tease, But the peeve of the week, spoons. In fact, tell you what, I'm going to see how many fucking spoons there are now. Wait there. Oh, you're kidding me. There isn't one. There isn't one spoon. Normally, there's 1, 2. Then you get 3 on the breadboard here. Then 4, 5, and 6 over there. Sometimes there's even a 7th by the kettle. And now there isn't any. There wasn't any then. How can that be? How can he talk about things? Did he go, oh shit, he's onto us? And they all shuffle back, and they've gone back into the drawer one by one. They just help each other down by the big curved spoony bit. Like, come on, down now, get in. Don't rattle, don't make a noise. Come on. I know. He's coming, quick, get in there. Oh, God. Miss, I'm semi-melting here. So, what else is there? The earworm of the week. The earworm. Okay, what are we going to do there then? Oh, shit. Well, we've played a fair bit of Vertigo, haven't we? But we're into a bit of Bernard Herrmann. So why don't we go on to, let's have a little look then. Let's go back here. And let's go on to, I hope I've got it. I have. North by Northwest from 1959. You can't beat this. This is a nice blurting sort of main theme, but it builds up. Often touted as being one of the best action movies ever made, and one of the best sort of thrillers. And you know what it is? It's great. Apart from the wild ride, then they've got him pissed as a fart. Cary Grant, pissed as a fart. They've been throwing liquor. I'd be made up. More. And he's going down the cliff road. And it's all like, you know, rear projection and all that. And he's like trying to steer the car, pissed as a fart, like. But you've got all the stuff on the train, you've got the stuff at Niagara Falls, you've got the stuff at the Mount Rushmore, and you've got the plane attack, you know, which is just outstanding. And of course it comes in, ooh, like that, and hits the gas truck, and he's doing that run, and the big superimposed explosion behind him. This is the Earworm, and I've just talked all over it. So of course we'll play it again, don't you worry. See, Bernard Herrmann could come up with like a cacophony of sound. The strings would be like scissoring away, being eviscerated. The brass would be punctuating everything. And you've got the percussion going into overdrive. But there would be melody there. There'd be rhapsody there. And there'd be musical violence as well. Look at Psycho. But this rolling, sort of heroic theme of urgency. Perfect. Let's do it again. Because I talked all over it. You get whippoorwills. A combination of the high strings and the anxious shrieking violins with the beautiful percussion and brass and lower strings. It's a combination that only he really mastered to this sort of degree. So you've got tension, urgency, excitement, and then you get Mysterioso as well with a little woodblock and xylophone. And of course, you've got his association with Ray Harryhausen movies as well, Bernard Herrmann, Jason the Argonaut, Seven Voyages of Sinbad. Oh my God, you know, and more. This sense of mystery, the aura that he creates. See, I'm leaning in closer now because that fucking, if I lean back, I erupt. How many Dracula movies end like this? I'm melting. See, it sounds like a cacophony. If you just took that out, it'd be like, whoa, that's just a wall of noise. Everyone's doing something. But they're all doing it, and it works in the overall ensemble and the momentum of a huge, great title sequence. This is that. One of them shooting stars. Or a cat being booted. Folks, genius. And he would do this sort of similar motif. This is called The Streets. It's actually an outtake. But he would do that sort of thing in The Day the Earth Stood Still for Robert Wise. Robert Wise, who also made Star Trek the Motion Picture. See how it all comes together, you know? Folks, we've covered Asteroids, City Killers. What's that fucking thing called again? Uma. I said it before, I can't say it now. That big interstellar thing that came floating through. John Wick still rocks. We still got no Julian Sands. They're remaking Vertigo. Sacrilege? Blasphemy? Or is it? Could it work? We don't know what time period it's set in. We don't know who's playing who. We don't even know if Robert Downey Jr. is actually in the movie. His studio, his production company, what is it, Team Downey, whatever they're called. They're behind it all, but and Stephen Knight. But is he going to be in it? I would presume so. If it's going to happen, I want him in it. This kind of reminds me of being in the Gold Room in the Overlook Hotel. It's funny how everyone says it's empty, but when I go in there, it's jam-packed, full of flappers, and I love flappers. They're sexy bastards, flappers. I like them. What else? Barack Obama in Australia. Ghost fires in Ireland, and UFO flappers again in Santa Barbara. Spoons, the evilness of spoons, and how they corrupt you by having a fantastic name. Spoons. Oh, spoons. Yeah, we're just spoons. Look at this. Happy spoons. Evil, devious. They multiply behind your back. And then when you've sussed them out, they hide away so you can't show any evidence. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or any other of these paranoid sci-fi movies. You're the hero and you've seen something, but you can't prove it to anyone because it's not there anymore. The spoons! They're taking over. They're working against us. Don't trust the spoons. Use a fork instead. Use a fork. Oh, get it? Yeah, use a fork and turn it round the other way round. So the big curved end of the handle, it's your spoon. Dexter Jetster, they're cloners. Real good ones too. Fuck off. If you look at that, he looks like Oogie Boogie from, what's it called? Nightmare Before Christmas. The Oogie Boogie Man and all that. And we've got the Earworm, which has now been taken over by a lot more Mysterioso stuff by Bennett Herman. So we'll do it again. I kind of like that, actually. I'm getting used to it now. Don't go into the light, KILT-MAN. Too late. It's got into me. Look at that. Especially us pushing the light back. Look. Isn't that great? So it combines everything. There's action, energy, and mystery as well. So, trumpets there. There's either woodblock or castanets going on in the background. Something a little bit, perhaps mariachi. There's tambourines going as well. Listen, there's a lot going on there. Love that. You think you're heading towards a crescendo there, like a finale, but it's not. It goes on. It's like, which way do you go? Which is figurative and symbolic of, like he doesn't know. Who can he trust? Where can he go? Is she on my side? Is he on my side? I'm being strung along here. I've got to find out, Kaplan, and the wonderful James Mason, playing an incredibly suave and sinister villain. And Martin Landau as well. Commander Koenig, or Bela Lugosi as well. Folks, happen we shall be KILT-MAN. Please, in the meantime, as ever, North by Northwesty, Vertigo inspiring. In between time, please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. Keep looking, keep watching the skies. There's things up there. Have a little look, have a nosy. Just look at the sky. I'm not saying invasions are coming. I'm not saying that at all. Just have a look. You'll see things, and at least you can admire the majesty of the firmament. It's worth it, folks. Ow! That's gone hot. Folks, please keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all Dirty Harry's over there because he was based in San Francisco. Like, there to go. Later.